let's say you were perfect. Everything about you was perfect. You're the most handsome man on earth. You get all of the girls. You have all of the money. You are smart. You are everything. My question to you is, what would you not do in order to remain the way you are? What are the things that you would stop doing because the very act of doing them makes you not perfect? I am sure that there are a couple of things that spring to mind. This is something that I was thinking about after having read the quote from Epictetus, the guy you saw at the beginning of the video, which I rephrased without knowing in my own head. I kept thinking he had said, "Make beautiful choices and you will be beautiful." It's kind of the same, but my version lacks the elegance and simplicity of the original. Either way, I was thinking hard about this quote while I was walking my dogs, mainly because I found it a little sus. I mean, the way I rephrased it just kind of sounds weird, no? Like, you will be beautiful. I was thinking, who says that? So I started thinking, like, why did he say it like that? And then I realized, oh, that I was the one who rephrased it. So I was like, ah, shit, maybe I'm a little sus. Either way, I sort of just kept thinking about this quote. What does it mean to make beautiful choices? What are examples of ugly choices in ugly people? I really like this quote because it implies that humans can be beautiful, not because of the way we look, but because of the way we are, which is something that we all like to preach nowadays. Dr. Martin Luther King cornerstoned the message that we should all be judged by the content of our character instead of our appearance. I couldn't help but see some semblance with the religious idea that every human was created in the image of God, and thus we are, in theory, a reflection of Him, and thus should be as perfect as He is, or, in theory, reach some level of goodness, I guess. However, it is up to us to make this part of us shine through all of the shitty things that we do. By getting rid of these shitty things, we end up uncovering all of the beautiful things that we possess. So beauty is actually something that you have to work for and actively strive to achieve. Not just by being born are you seen as beautiful. Only babies, but once you grow up, you actually have to do something with yourself in order to be seen as beautiful. Personally, I think everyone wants beauty. I don't mean an attractive face, although it does help, but real beauty. Beauty that has been worked for. Beauty that you have to pay for with blood, sweat, and tears. Bodybuilding is such a perfect representation of making a beautiful decision. By relentlessly and strategically attacking the body with all of these exercises, we are actively choosing to experience pain and discomfort, but by proxy, we end up looking like an old Greek statue, well built. But, the decision to even endure this pain in order to look great is in and of itself a beautiful choice. There is respect in having a muscular physique because it has been worked for. The same can be said about anything else that has been worked for. Building a massive enterprise like Amazon, going through all the discomfort of being ridiculed or ignored for having a different mindset than others. Change almost always stems from the one who's willing to change his status quo. My dad used to tell me that the strong only remains in his position of power until the weak decides to do something about his own situation. Now, returning to the initial question I asked at the start of the video, what would you not do in order to remain perfect? When I asked myself this question, it triggered me a little bit because it provoked me into thinking and realizing about all of these things that I do that aren't beautiful. They aren't good for me. It triggered me because I realized that if I wanted to reach theoretical perfection or, get close to being my best self, which you can technically see as perfection of your limit, I would have to cut the crap, replace the shit with quality habits, and I wasn't ready to do it. Then you see what you're made of. I saw all of the shit I had to get rid of and I whined, because I knew it was going to be tough, but it is what it is. So I had to start somewhere, and it seemed daunting at first, but it's worth the effort. I guess if you aim for the moon and you get there, fucking great. But if you don't, you can land on a cloud and you still would have made some progress on your journey to better yourself. I also see this quote not only as a way of being, but a way to present yourself. How would people perceive you as beautiful? See, that is why I think it's a little sus, because it's kind of weird to talk like that. But I mean, in an abstract level, beautiful as in elegant, powerful, intelligent, stuff like that, Beauty is not derived from your face. It's a test of your character and spirit, the way you carry yourself and inspire others. This is why I think most people, guys really, say that those old Greek statues of muscular men are beautiful. Not necessarily because of their physique, but because of the power behind the man, the way they carried themselves. His way of being made him beautiful. I know this whole thing sounds hella sus, but it's just an abstraction. And back to the question, how should you behave in order to be beautiful or elegant or whatever you want to think about? If you don't know, you should start looking up some books on the topics where you lack the information to better yourself. Alex Hormozi, I've been watching some of his content lately, and he says that most of our decisions are based off of our threshold of knowledge. So if we don't know, if you have all the information needed to act and you're not acting, then you're just a pussy. But if you don't know how to act, then you should learn how to act and have all the information that you need in order to act. If you already work out and have that figured out, but you struggle with work, look up productivity shit. If you're successful and jacked but have no friends, read How to Make Friends and Influence People. You only need a couple of books to round yourself out in most areas in life. If you're mentally fucked from childhood or some past trauma, because who isn't, read books on psychology and trauma. Bam, it's really that simple. You don't need a therapist. Most of us just need to go for walks and have some knowledge on these topics. Now, that is where the beauty of it kicks in. If you can do it, it means that you got something in you, a fire per se, that most people have extinguished by their own volition. Generally speaking, you don't have to do that much. You don't have to take that many choices in order to see the results. Think of the 80-20 rule. There are about 2 or 3 things that you can do that will give you the most bang for your buck. Think about the gym. I mean, if you train like a bodybuilder or like a power lifter even, although it doesn't work that much, you don't have to be super emphasized on your diet in order to look like a fucking god. Just training hard takes care of itself. Although, having a good diet certainly helps. But there is no physique without training. If you only have a diet, then you're never going to look like a Greek god because you never, stress the muscles. So there are some gateway activities that automatically make you follow through and end up giving you most of the results. So if you want to look huge and have a lot of muscle, you don't just fucking eat. You have to work out. And by just working out, that gives you basically all of the results. If you start reading and writing, then you can start writing content which you upload and then get a following. If you read, you nourish your brain with new information that can be then used to write other things. And then you read more and so on and so on. And maybe people read your shit and then they make their own stuff. These are catalysts for further action. By understanding how to make friends, you can befriend most people. And later, maybe out of all of these friends, maybe one of them will present your future wifey to you. Maybe understanding why you're so angry all of the time. Or why you have, let me rephrase. Understanding why you have a predisposition for flying off the handle. By reading some book on the topic, you get to understand your condition or your predisposition, and maybe you learn how to fix your situation, which ends up, being good because now you're not as angry. By choosing to do the tougher thing, you end up making everything fit well together. You make everything beautiful if you yourself are beautiful. By not choosing the beautiful option, you are actively pushing a desirable, or let me say, beautiful future away and choosing to live in an ugly reality, a reality in which in which you've convinced yourself you must live in, a reality in which you have no free will. Thus, you must pinpoint which activities that you will end up doing will give you 80% of the results if you do them. Make a beautiful choice and you won't regret it.